Being Real with Bethany, available wherever you get your podcast. Sponsored by Bryan Jewelry and the Montgomery County Probate Court.
Hello, Montgomery County. The Montgomery County Election Center has a message for you. They encourage you to use your voice and vote on April 16th in the runoff election. Polling places will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Election Day. Don't forget to bring a valid photo ID with you to the polls. For more important information on voter registration, text the word REGISTER to 334-652-1763 or call 334-832-1215. Your voice matters. Get out and vote on April 16th.
Dr. Porcia Love is a dermatologist who runs her own practice. Her husband, J.C. Love, is an attorney and Montgomery's probate judge. And they have 3 young children, all with busy schedules of their own. This is a couple with seemingly endless energy, more action than hours in the day, and plenty more love to go around. Somehow, they carved out some time to sit down and share how they juggle it all and still stay connected to each other. I'm Bethany Davis. This is Being Real.
Power couple that a lot of people perceive you to be.
Oh, no. We're like just trying to make it.
Yes.
I mean, we're so busy and we've got 3 young active kids that it's just a blessing we're back here in Montgomery to have family that can help us. But it's definitely it's a whirlwind. Like, I can't believe it.
You're trying to get through the week. It's
Yeah.
like, wow, tomorrow's Thursday. Wow, another week. And it's like, all right, because now they kind of got their activities going on. So then you're trying to balance, all right, I need to go do this, and I got to take him to practice. And now he has games with baseball. Now he has, 2 games twice a week and practice in between. So it's just a lot to try to juggle.
How old are your kids now?
5, 7, and 8.
Wow.
So,
Yes.
so James is 5, and then the girls are 7 and 8, so they're in competition dance. So while he's doing all his sports, we're trying to get their dance every day. They have different backpacks and wardrobe changes and competitions on the weekends.
Then you got homework in between all of
yeah,
that
homework.
projects.
They're at Forest Avenue, so it's crazy.
Well, I commend you all for handling the Forest Avenue homework.
Well, we were fortunate with her mom, who
Yeah.
used to be a teacher and she used to be assistant principal up there. So she's retired, so she will go and pick them up and kind of start homework and things there. So we kind of get in, kind of fill out, take one here and there, or work with them here. But she's definitely a blessing. And then I can bring in my sister and mother to take them to their activities if we need to fill in there because something's over. She has a meeting, or I've got to go to an event with work. So it definitely takes a whole village.
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
Take a village. I know your schedules are crazy. I mean, even if you didn't have kids, you're just the demands of each of your jobs make things really crazy. So kind of walk me through how you juggle all of that. How does your day go? What time does it start in the morning? And how do you end it at night? And what happens in between?
Well, I'm generally, probably say around 4:40, getting up, just trying to get dressed. And then my son's a very picky eater, so he generally wants me to make a lunch. So then it's all about trying to make sure that he has his peanut butter and jelly sandwich and, and his particular brand of chips. Now he's on to barbecue potato chips. And so I gave him some Pringles. He didn't really like those. Gave him some Doritos. I don't like Doritos anymore. So making sure that his lunch, and then my daughter my middle daughter, Catherine, may decide that she wants a lunch. And then depending on what's on the menu, my eldest daughter, may want one, and then she wants salad. So then you got to make her a salad. So she's very particular. So
That's some really interesting eating habits to deal with. And that's just to get the morning started.
Let's get the morning
And
started.
then you have to get the different backpacks ready. So they have their academic backpacks, but then their activity backpacks, and they have their different uniforms that have to go in each backpack, and it changes every day. And then the hair. Doing the girls' hair and the fussing. They're 7 and 8, but they're already arguing over hairstyles, and they're into this new tween trend with the skincare. So we have to go through the skincare routine in the morning.
But what a great resource.
It's great.
they
It's
have.
great.
Yes.
But even though I'm a dermatologist, they're like, you don't know what we need on our skin. I'm like, oh my
Who else would
gosh.
know any better? But isn't it nice to know that you're just a regular mom? So do you have like, I mean, how do you keep up? Do you have a calendar? Do you have
We did
a
for
dry
about
erase board,
2
a
weeks.
chalkboard?
She's much better than I am with keeping track. I get a text, make sure you do this, reminder
Oh,
text.
yeah.
So she kind of keeps track where everyone has to go and kind of what's going on.
You're the organizer. Are you?
I used to be very organized until I got married and had kids.
Used to be. That's
and I
great.
feel like I've lost all of that. But we used to have a digital calendar where we could coordinate activities, but that lasted like 2 weeks. So it's basically everybody texting each other and texting the week to my mom and his sister and my mother-in-law.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And so then, what about the afternoon? Obviously, most of the year, you get the kids off to school, you go to work. How do you manage though? Because you both, I know, have some pretty demanding hours on the back end. How do you manage that?
My mom picks them up from school, and then she either takes them to dance or my sister-in-law takes James to his practice. And then when we get home, we do have babysitters that can help if we're at meetings, but she'll start their homework and dinner, and then we get home and help with that.
Your mom starts dinner?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It's a blessing.
Oh, yes.
It's definitely
As long as
a
you like her
blessing.
cooking.
Oh, yes.
I used to like to cook again before I got married and had kids, but yeah, she starts dinner for them. She cooks dinner for them. So that is definitely a blessing.
Yes, that is incredible. Isn't it great to have family nearby?
Oh, it's definitely. I think that we find that our generation relies much heavily on our parents than I think our parents relied on their parents. And so it definitely helps, it's kind of a village kind of mindset that everyone has to kind of pitch in these days.
But it's kind of neat too to watch. I've seen in my own family to watch those relationships. And
I
the
think
bonds
it's
that
key.
form.
I grew up with my grandparents here in Montgomery, and like my grandfather was the one that took us around to different activities, and so all my friends knew him and everything. And my mom will always talk about how her parents went back to college while she was growing up, and so a lot of times she had to stay with her grandmother and things like that. So I don't feel that bad when she tells me that.
And I think it's similar with me that my mother's parents, she's from Montgomery, and so after school, that's where we were in the afternoons. And so if we had practice or we had different things going on, games, then they were the ones who took us. Even during the summer, we had activities. So, it was one of the things that, we've really kind of pushed us to really move back, that we both grew up having a close relationship with grandparents. And so my dad's from Tuskegee and my mom's from Montgomery, so I grew up, seeing my grandparents all the time. We'd go up to Tuskegee on the weekends and spend time with my dad's grandparents, and then I saw my mother's grandparents pretty much every day. That was kind of my aftercare. And so, she had similarly had the close relationship with her grandparents, so it was something we both wanted for our kids to have. And so it is fun to see them and how they each have their own little relationship and how it's kind of grown and flourished, and how excited they get when they have their grandparents come to their activities. And so yesterday, I think they have the Friday is Grandparents' Day at school, and my son was saying that he wanted her father to be there for Grandparents' Day and to make sure he comes. And so, it's something that's really, really special.
Okay, so you say you moved back to Montgomery.
Yes.
Where were you before?
Well, I was living and working in Atlanta, and she was.
I was doing my residency at Duke in North Carolina.
Oh.
So we, when we got married, we lived apart for about a year and a half, and then we moved to Montgomery.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, let's go back to the beginning then.
Yes.
How did you meet?
We met over at Baldwin. We went to junior high school together.
So you guys have known each other since junior high?
Oh, yeah.
We did.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of grandparents, my grandfather went to their church.
Yes.
So I guess your mom and my grandfather handled the church money.
Yeah.
So he would go by the church to get the church money, take it to the bank, and so I would see his mother all the time.
Yes, I used to have a crush on her in junior high, and so I always tell folks the story of I was talking to Coach Moore, who was our PE coach. I was like, yeah, remember we used to have the square dancing, and looked around the room and saw everyone was pairing off, and so just kind of made my way around the room, just kind of, oh, look, we're partners, huh?
Oh, how about that?
Fate, I don't know, that's crazy, that just happened that way. But yeah, so we go back, probably it's about 13 years old, so you're looking at
Yeah,
30 plus
13.
years.
Wow. So you knew in junior high school
Oh, yeah.
that this is how you wanted the story to end. Did you know in junior
I
high
didn't
school?
know. JC was just my friend. I just noticed that he called me every single day at 8 o'clock. Like I would always get this phone call from JC. So I just thought we were friends. So I didn't know he had a crush on me. He never told me that.
She wasn't good
He
at
called you
context
every
clues.
night at 8 o'clock.
Every
and you
night I thought
you thought you were just friends.
we did end up going to like the Botillion together that's held by Jack and Jill. So I was his date then.
So when did you finally come to realize that maybe this was a little more than just a junior high friendship?
We reconnected about 2008, during Thanksgiving.
Oh.
And we met up and had lunch that day. And, I think after we had lunch, I remember calling her a lot during the rest of that weekend, trying to see her again before I went back over to Georgia before she left town. And we just kind of stayed in touch from then on, and started really dating 2009, got married and got engaged New Year's Eve of 2011, and then got married in October of 2011.
Oh, wow. So by 2008, you guys had already been through high school and college, and you were already living separately. So you kind of started your relationship as a long distance relationship.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Was that hard to start long distance like that? Or maybe it was easier. I don't know.
Well, communication has improved a lot since, back in the 90s we were in school. So when you look at, cell phones, and we were both working, so we had the ability to travel back and forth, at least, twice a month to go up and see each other. Yeah, so we saw each other pretty frequently. And so it really wasn't that big of an adjustment.
Then by then, your career paths were already,
Yeah.
they were already set
Yes.
in motion.
And we were both pretty busy, so that time to spend together was nice. That twice a month,
Yeah.
because we were really busy in our careers. I was in residency, and he was, working as an attorney in Atlanta.
So what was it about him? What did he do, or what was the moment that you were like, now I know he's the one?
I don't know. I think after our second or third date, he asked to take me to look for rings. So I was like,
A second or third date?
like, JC, are you serious?
Y'all didn't waste any time.
Yes, it was very fast. But I already knew him. Like, it was comforting to know someone and already know their family, so you didn't have to do this huge background check. And I knew he was a great Christian, and he came from a great family, and he was always very nice to me. So I thought he would make a great mate.
So I'm guessing if after the second or third date, you went into this knowing she was probably the one.
Well, that was kind of, like I said, after we had lunch then, it was like, I'm pretty well settled on this. And so she'll tell you that I called her several times during that weekend trying to see her. And so I think she told me it was Iron Bowl weekend. So she was over there. I think she was at Auburn.
Priorities.
Priorities, yes.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I was pretty well settled. Like I said, I had always had a crush on her, and just seeing how she developed and how she was as a person, that she was very career driven, that she was someone who was just a genuinely nice person. That, when anyone that you could see around here that would talk about it, so she's just a genuinely very nice person, always willing to go ahead and go over and beyond to help you out. Like you said, I had known her since junior high, so we already had the friendship there. So you at least had a level of commonality, the ability to go ahead and communicate and talk on the phone, and being able to kind of enjoy being around each other. So then you just had the whole romantic piece that hadn't really been there.
How are you alike?
I don't know how we're like, because clearly JC talks and talks and talks and talks, so I can just sit here and smile.
You look beautiful smiling.
No, I don't. I mean, basically, we're from Montgomery. That's how we're like. We love Alabama football. So before we had kids, we were going to all of the games. So we spent a lot of, time going to home and away games before they came. I don't know, JC, how are we alike?
Well, I think, you look at that we both prioritize family and trying to spend time with family and trying to make a point of time of trying to create memories and experiences for the children, whether we taking them out of town to Nashville or to Atlanta to go ahead and see things, or taking them, you know, if they went out to LA a couple of years ago when they got a chance to really just show them that there's a world outside of, you know, bigger than Alabama, and that we're happy to really be in a place where our kids get a chance to really spend time with family.
Ever since she was a little girl, I've always tried to show I cared by giving her the very best.
I know. That's why I went to Brian Jewelry.
Smart man.
When it's time to ask the most important question of your life, make sure you have what you need to show her you're serious. At Brian Jewelry, we'll help you through every step of the way to find the right ring for her. We can create beautiful custom designs and also engrave your personalized engagement message. Give her the best. Brian Jewelry, Prattville.
How do you find time? How do you make time? And where do you put that? How do you work that into your priority list to reconnect with each other? Because it would be very easy to just get lost in the schedules and the demands of kids and work.
Well, you try to make sure you keep them on the schedule and get them to bed, you know, and then you get them to bed early so you have some time to kind of reconnect on yourself. So it's not so much as you've put them to bed and then you're going to bed and you haven't spent any time talking with each other, spending time with each other. And then try to carve out some date nights for yourself when you go out and get a bite to eat without kids. You have some peace and quiet, or you know, get them to get a chance to spend the night over at a grandparent's house. Or maybe when she has one of her conferences, I'll tag along with her and we're going out there together and just kind of get away and kind of have a chance to reconnect. And so, you know, it's really about just trying to plan it, because you can easily get lost in just the whole hustle and bustle of kids and get into this routine of them getting them up, get them off to school, then they're back, getting them fed, getting them to bed, getting them to sleep, then wake up and just trying to get through the day and trying to really make that concerted effort, really put in the time to reconnect.
How often do you get a chance to do just grown-up date nights?
You know, well, you know, the campaign made it hard. Well, you know, the campaign.
I created this social group amongst my friends, and so we often have date nights with our husbands or go on trips. And so that makes us do things together, I think.
That's a good idea, though. I think, too, sometimes you need, you know, I mean, sometimes it's easy to just say, it's just us. We don't have to do that. Sometimes you need the other people. You need that friend group
to make you
kind of peer pressure you into spending time together.
So we do a lot of that.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I think that's a great way to do it. And then it's also, you know, it makes for a really fun time that's kid-free.
Well, to get a chance to see some of your friends who you may not get a chance to see because they're dealing with the same things that you're dealing with kids and activities. And so, you know, it's something that everyone looks forward to. All right, on this date here, we're going to get a chance to see each other, and we'll go to a nice restaurant and just get a chance to laugh and be able to talk and not have to dealing with little people, having little people conversations. So that's fun sometimes. And like I said, getting past this campaign, you know, we kind of ran that over a good 11 months, made it difficult because then on the weekends, you know, you had about 7, 8 different events. And so sometimes those days would go 12, 13 hours. And I joked to folks saying I looked forward to my work week to get away from my weekend sometimes. And so just because, you know, you had so many things, you still had to do things with the campaign, whether it be knocking doors or going to events to really connect with people. And so getting that behind just now, then it kind of resumes to a normal kind of what it was that would have been probably, you know, this time last year when we were gearing up for everything.
It is important, I think, to spend time, just the two of you and without kids. But what about what your kids see? I know you must want to instill in them a sense of a healthy, loving relationship.
Yes.
How do you demonstrate that for them to know what a relationship is supposed to look like?
Well, you know, I think that you know, definitely try to show some level of affection, you know, show a level of respect to one another, to kind of show them, you know, how they should conduct themselves in relationships, you know, and I think kind of talk to them, you know, and kind of, you know, they get a chance to kind of see it, and they'll enjoy it. If there's a hug or there's a kiss there, they'll go up there, get excited. Or sometimes they'll push you and say, "Go in and kiss mommy." Go and do so. You know, they get a kick out of it. But I think, you know, you realize with kids, they're watching everything, and they're picking up on it, even if you don't really see it. And so they're like sponges. And so,
They like to go through our phones and look at pictures of us and old pictures and new pictures. That's what my oldest daughter, Caroline, likes to do.
That's funny, yeah. So what do you hope that they take away from your marriage, or maybe even take from your marriage into their future relationships?
Well, I think when you look at anyone in relationships that you just take the fact that, they're two imperfect people trying to get through life together. There'll be times when mommy's mad at daddy may be mad at mommy, but they still stayed together and really made it work and really tried to prioritize making sure that they had what they needed. I think that's the best what I see that we can give them.
I just think, I want them to see someone that loves them and respects them, and they see that in both parents, and that's what they look for in a spouse, someone who loves and respects you, loves God, keeps God first in their life, is great to their family, things like that. And so I think we do exhibit those characteristics, and when they ultimately make their choice, that those are some of the characteristics that they're looking for.
Hello, Montgomery County. The Montgomery County Election Center has a message for you. They encourage you to use your voice and vote on April 16th in the runoff election. Polling places will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Election Day. Don't forget to bring a valid photo ID with you to the polls. For more important information on voter registration, text the word REGISTER to 334-652-1763 or call 334-832-1215. Your voice matters. Get out and vote on April 16th.
A lot of us look back and think, man, if I could just have a conversation with my 18, 20, 22-year-old self, this is what I would say. But I want to kind of twist on that a little bit.
Yes.
If you could go back and have a conversation with younger Portia, what would you tell her?
Well, I'd probably be more clear in my intentions rather than trying to get her to pick up on context clues.
Context clues are clearly not her strength.
Oh, no,
Gosh.
not really.
You didn't tell me.
The calling every night wasn't enough. But yeah, that's always when we started dating. I used to, her younger sister said, "Yeah," I said, "I remember talking to you on the phone," because she'd always answer the phone and be like, "She's studying," or and she'd go up there and give the phone to her. So that's how I knew her younger sister Karen. So I think that's probably what I would go out there and say. But I think as I told her, I think I think we got together at a great time, just because when the time came, I was able to appreciate, her a lot more than maybe if we had gotten together in high school when we were younger, dealing with going to, me school in Atlanta, her in Tuscaloosa I think the best you could do there was probably some calling cards. You get the calling cards in 30 minutes for like $5 or $10.
That's really going old school. There's calling cards.
Yeah, the calling cards.
I've ever used
or letters, and so communication a lot different there than now.
I think that.
Well, she had a cell phone. I didn't. I think that everything happened for a reason, and so. But like I said, that by the time that we were able to finally reconnect, and you're a bit more settled, able to be more stable, and kind of know exactly what it is you wanted, and be able to, appreciate what you had before you.
What would you, if you could go back and talk to a younger JC, what would you tell him?
Say, lay away from the sweets.
He was small in school, though.
I know. They're saying the future me, like, hey,
JC was tiny in high school. Like, he was a stick.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I have to show you the picture from
he was so small.
The ball we had gone to, yes. I was about 145, maybe
he was
wet.
So small. But I don't know what I would tell JC. Just, I guess I would ask him if he liked me when he was talking. Like, why are you calling me all the time? Just to see what he said.
Yeah. What would you say? I know you obviously officiate a lot of weddings.
Oh, yeah.
So you see a lot of couples coming together. But this is a different, as we talk about, era for a lot of couples that are just now entering marriage. And I just wonder, after what you guys have survived with 3 children under 3 and very demanding careers, what would your advice be to new couples, either newly married or going into marriage?
I think it's important to listen to each other. Listening and compromising. I think that's important to any relationship.
Yeah.
And, I think for me, I think it'd be the conversation to really know exactly what it is that you want in a particular spouse. Early in my career, I did a lot of domestic law, and so I dealt with a lot of divorces and saw kind of what happened when people weren't on the same page of what exactly is they wanted. So, if you're someone who your ideal marriage is, we're going to come home at the end of the night at 5 o'clock and we're going to eat dinner and watch the news and watch the shows when they come on, then you may not need someone who has a demanding career because you're going to be unhappy. Or if you go into a situation hoping someone's going to change a habit, or they're going to exercise, they're going to lose weight, they're going to go and go back to school and finish a degree or do something, then you have to be willing to accept that person if they don't do anything, if they don't lose the weight, they don't go back to school. So you can't go into it expecting someone's going to go ahead and change a habit. I think one of the best advice that one of my old boss had told me, and she had been married at that time about 40 years, said, make sure if you marry someone whose parents have been together, just because they've seen a couple who's been through things. They haven't seen everything that's good at all times. They've seen the ups and they've seen the downs, and they know what it takes to really stay together and make a marriage work.
Yeah.
And so, that was definitely an added, plus with getting with her, that her parents have been together since undergrad. And my parents had been married 40 plus years by the time my father had passed, and so I think it necessarily makes a difference. But I think really just kind of really being realistic what it is that you want with what you want in a spouse, and being really to accept that person for their positive as well as for their negatives. If they're they're not always like she get on me, put the dishes up there in the sink. And she's not always going to kick her shoes to the side, on the stairs. And so, but just really being able to, I think having that base level of friendship, of being that, because that can kind of carry you on, in the times that you get busy, of just being that ability to be able to just laugh and interact and cry with each other and be able to depend on each other, that you generally have with a true friendship. I think it helps you in a marriage as well.
Yeah, Portia mentioned listening and compromising. Those two really do go hand in hand, and sometimes I think those are probably the hardest things to do in a relationship.
So. I mean, because some of the things you just said, they have to compromise on things that they want or that they think they need in the relationship. Everyone's not going to be who they were when you first met them, and you just have to meet them where they are and know what's important to you and what you love about them. So I do think that's very important.
Yeah, to love each other for who you are, not just in spite of their shortcomings, but maybe even because of their shortcomings.
Oh, yes.
Love them for them. Thank y'all. Thank you for, I know it was hard to make some time to spend, but I'm so appreciative of your time. I just so enjoyed visiting with you guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, y'all are really fun
thank you
and
for having
enjoyable. Power couple that you are. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Thanks for making the time. I really
Thank you. No, thank you for having us.
Talk about a power couple. From politics to practicing medicine to keeping a family functioning, JC and Porcia Love are powering forward with no sign of slowing in sight, balancing their responsibilities as they continue to strive for greatness. And that's what makes them real.
Being Real with Bethany, available wherever you get your podcast. Sponsored by Bryan Jewelry and the Montgomery County Probate Court.
Ever since she was a little girl, I've always tried to show I cared by giving her the very best. I know. That's why I went to Bryan Jewelry. Smart man.
When it's time to ask the most important question of your life, make sure you have what you need to show her you're serious. At Bryan Jewelry, we'll help you through every step of the way to find the right ring for her. We can create beautiful custom designs and also engrave your personalized engagement message. Give her the best. Bryan Jewelry, Prattville.